in the country have forms. Some will accept, doctors' information like ours. So the Rainbow Medicinal Club in Toronto, for example, I think pretty much operates like ours. Dana's Compassion Club, the Vancouver medical cannabis dispensary, isn't it called?
Yeah, dispensary.
Is it just dispensary?
Dispensary, yeah.
Okay.
It's just the dispensary.
Yeah. I think, anyway, Dana Larson's dispensary in Vancouver operates according to the same mandate as ours. A lot of the clubs will try and get their own forms signed, and often they'll even have this little clause at the end where the doctor can say they don't condone its use, but they will continue to monitor the person. And that's, in essence, the same mandate as ours, except they just make the confirmation that the doctor is aware of the situation. Some clubs require recommendations from physicians, just like Health Canada, but fortunately those clubs like Vic's are few and far between. Most of the other clubs would just have a form taken to a doctor, a diagnosis confirmed, and basically they'll even call the doctor's office back to make sure, I guess, that it's not fraudulent. But I would think, in my own experience when we had forms, was some people are dumb enough to try and fill out the forms themselves as if they're a doctor, and insisting that they bring something from a doctor's office is, in my way, is actually an easier way of assuring that it is from a clinic. But either way, those are kind of generally the way that the mandates work. I guess right now, as I said, a lot of the urban centers do have, not all, but the larger ones with 1 million or more people, like Vancouver's got 3 clubs, and Toronto's got a lot, Montreal, and here we have 2. Most smaller rural centers don't have clubs, and so I've taken upon myself to start with Vancouver Island to not only set up distribution networks, but various small clubs in different cities. They may be only open for a day or 2 a week. We'll see. It will depend upon the need. But there are a lot of people living in small communities in Canada in particular, and we need to have 2 different ways of helping people get their medicine. Having large centers in large cities is great, but the Canadians that live in small rural centers need more like a traveling medicine wagon. And that's the model that I hope to not only get going here, but to help encourage and inspire in other people. So places like the prairies can have networks working that use members' houses temporarily to meet people in. And so that's something that I hope to see going. Luckily, there are more and more smaller networks popping up all over the place. Just in the last month of going up and down the island, I've found a couple of networks that are existing. And so it is something that with some effort and some thought, you can go around and find out what is going on in your community. And there's all sorts of different ways to support and bring attention to the medicinal uses of cannabis, that's for sure. I would just, I think I'm running, if not ran out of time. I would just, have to say that it's been, in some ways, frustrating to see the lack of initiative in some cities and towns to get clubs going. I understand the fear of being arrested and the cost that can be incurred with that. However, with the changes happening within Canadian law for medical purposes and the regulations, there I think is a great opportunity and has been for well over 5 or 6 years for people to step up to the plate and work, whether it is just simply with a pager and a pamphlet as I started, or a business card, or some kind of forms, while living in fear of the law is not good for your health, as I've learned. On the other hand, that this work is critical to the well-being of people and those that don't have access to it are suffering a lot, in my opinion and experience. And the rewards that come from extending a hand and taking a risk, if it's a smart and calculated, it's not hard to get away with selling medical marijuana. It's something that most towns and people in this day and age appreciate more than hinder. And operating these clubs out of homes and backyards towards getting storefronts is something that, and I'm not expecting people here to do, but more people online across the country and such. It's not as hard in some ways as you think. It really just takes a little bit of initiative, and as many brave souls like these folks have learned, it's a damn good way of living. Anyway, yeah, I hope to be back here next year telling stories of all the clubs that I've started up island and other things happening across the country. But thanks everybody for hearing me ramble through today's lecture.
Thank you.
I need 3 seconds. We're having a phone jam December 2nd all day across the country, so everyone out there online land, please phone in. And Students for Sensible Drug Policy are also having kind of in-person rallies throughout the country on that day as well. So get out and support your local students.
Thanks.
You got him.
Yep. Thanks everybody for coming out. Yeah,